Hey everyone, it's Johnny here. So this is part 4 of my how to avoid client creative punch-ups. So this one is a kind of unusual one, and it's one that comes up again and again when I'm speaking to freelancers, when I'm speaking to suppliers, and it's the servant-master relationship, or how to avoid a servant-master relationship. So when dealing with suppliers, there are many clients out there, and also managers with members of staff, that believe if you're paying someone to do a service for you, that you have every single right to talk to them and treat them in a certain way. And you see this all the time, and it's not just in the creative industries that this happens. This happens in any service or sector. So you see it in restaurants, people clicking their fingers, shouting at bar staff. So obviously in the service trade, it happens quite a lot. People that are working at a checkout or behind a till, that because you're paying for something, you've got every right to talk to them and behave in a certain way. And it's bullshit. And we shouldn't do it. I've got clients, and I would never expect any of my clients to treat me like that. And I have loads of suppliers, and I would never ever treat my suppliers in that way, because I believe that it's about relationships, not dictatorships. And when you're working with someone, it's not about them providing a service for me. I see everything like a joint venture. It's a joint relationship that we're working together to create something whereby I'm going to pay you to do something and you're going to provide a service. And we're working together to do the best possible piece of work on time and on budget. And good relationships are forged by friendships, about respect, and treating people in the right way. So what we want to try and avoid here is this master servant, whereby I'm paying you to do something, you're going to do it my way, you're going to listen to me when I talk to you, and if I say jump, jump. And what we know is these kind of relationships just don't work. It might be a bit of an old school approach, it might work in some sectors, but I think in a lot of the sectors that I work in now, it just doesn't cut the mustard, and we've got to eradicate this kind of behaviour especially from the industry that you work in or we work in, and change things. So here are 3 areas where you might see or notice a servant-master kind of relationship. The first area is in communication. So this is the way that we talk to each other through email, on the phone, through direct messaging, within meetings. And it might also be the way and how we communicate in terms of the timing and our tone of voice within emails or phone calls. So we might be ringing people really early in the morning or really late at night. We shouldn't be doing this. We should find out very early on the terms of communication, and although that maybe ringing someone really late at night might work for you, it might not work for the other person. So that's something that we should definitely discuss at the beginning of the project. The next thing is being treated like a slave and talked down to. So it's that I'm paying you to do this, you'll do it my way, and you'll do it exactly how I want it. And really kind of talk down to people. It's really unnecessary. And actually, if you want to get the best out of a creative, a supplier, a vendor, actually you want to be on mutual playing ground and talk to each other like adults with respect. And you can't be talking down to people just because you're paying their wages or paying their fees. It doesn't mean that you can be disrespectful and talk to them like shit. The last thing is being made to feel inferior or beneath someone. So, within organisations, we see it a lot within internal politics and hierarchy, whereby, managers talk to staff in a certain way. And we see that within, clients and suppliers, just talking down to someone because they feel like I'm the client, I'm above you, and I'm it's kind of like a power struggle in a way, that because I'm paying your fees, that means that I'm your boss and I can tell you what to do. And it shouldn't be like that. I have clients that have got really high-powered roles, who do really important jobs, and most of them will never ever talk to me like that. Again, it's about a mutual relationship, and it's about relationships, not dictatorships. Now, when these kind of servant-master relationships do get formed, my honest opinion is, if this is happening, the person that's doing it is potentially not going to change. So what I would do, if it's obvious that they're not going to change and this is how they live and this is how they work, you probably want to get out of this relationship as quickly as you can. So as soon as you finish that job, or if you're working there, if you can leave or at least move so they're not your line manager, do that as soon as possible, because they're not healthy. They can make you, they can affect your mental health. It can affect your confidence. And you want to kind of get out of that as quickly as you can. But here's some things that you can do. Here are some solutions to help resolve and maybe completely remove the whole servant-master relationship. The first one is kind of forge a relationship guideline at the beginning of a project. So you could, if you're a supplier or a freelancer, it could be one page of A4 of, this is how I approach a relationship, a business relationship. So this is how I talk to someone, this is how I expect to be talked to back, this is what we'll do if we've got any challenging or confrontational moments, this is how we're going to sort it out. And actually just put down a set of guidelines of how you work and how you expect to be treated and how you treat other people. Because if you talk about that very, very early on, that will make the other person think. And if anything does happen, like a challenge or an issue, you can just go back to that and say, right, we're going to sort this out, but we're going to do it this way. We're going to talk to each other with respect as human beings, and we're going to get this sorted out swiftly and stress-free. And I feel if you've got a kind of relationship guidelines document that you share with people, it could be your set of brand values that you work to. Talk about that very, very early on, and it just basically sets some boundaries about what's acceptable and what isn't. The next thing is educating each other with your value and your working process. So when we start working with someone, we don't know their values, we don't know anything about them normally, and we don't know their working process. And this can be done in a working environment, if it's your boss or if it's a member of staff, that talk about your values, what's important to you, talk about how you manage relationships and your working process very, very early on. Because if that's clear and each other knows how each other works, then you might find if a challenging situation comes up, you understand that person a bit more and you could be a bit more relaxed with them, and you can just have open and frank conversations about what's going on and hopefully get things rectified quite quickly. And the last thing is, as I've mentioned earlier, if it just gets so bad that you just can't work with someone, I would say break the relationship as early as you can, or bring in a third party, a mediator, someone else that works for the organisation, or a mutual friend or a mutual colleague that can stand in and help resolve the situation. Now, it's not about bringing someone in to take sides. It's about someone who can look at it impartially, on mutual ground, who can talk to both of you or the group and try and get things rectified as stress-free and as quickly as possible. But normally bringing in an extra set of eyes, an extra set of ears, someone who can look at the situation from a different light might be a good way of resolving the situation. Well, hopefully that's been good. If you do know anyone, or if you are having a difficult situation and there's a master-servant situation happening, hopefully some of these actions you can take away and learn from them and implement to resolve anything. I've mentioned in this about the master-servant, where sometimes the client is the master and the creative is the servant, but it can be the other way around. I do know other creatives and agencies that may treat their their clients in a way where I know best and you're going to do what I say. It can work on both sides. It's about finding mutual ground. It's It's about being mature and talking to each other as adults, and being relaxed in situations, and resolving things calmly and pragmatically, and try not to have a fight, ideally. Well, remember, be useful, be kind, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.